Shalom, family. Thank you for joining me at Unsectarian Wisdom. I'm your man Elijah, and as usual, I'm a wise, wealthy, rich, celestial being that is loved by the Most High Creator. Let's get it, family. Alright, family, we're jumping into chapter 11 of Terra-Infinita. Oh, just before I jump in this one, once again, family, look, I'm not claiming, and no one said anything, but as I always say, don't let me lead you to hell, lead yourself to hell. Read line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little. I like this map. I can't sit here once again and prove to you that this is the truth. That this is 100% the truth. But the reason why this map jumped out to me in particular, because family, there are other maps out there of multiple continents. Matter of fact, there's some brothers out there who do some very good videos on a lot more detailed, a lot more professional looking maps that they say of old Antarctica before it had ice on it. So, nonetheless, family, I would like to say this. When you really, once again, stop to think about it and just the bigger picture of things, you really start to realize how much you really do not know. And how much you thought you knew, you really didn't know anything, because everything you thought you knew was the opinion of TV, a book, a newspaper, your friends, your family, school teachers, magazines, your phone. But most of the time, you don't realize that, family. When I was a truck driver, I remember most cities. It's crazy. Like, you can sit here and live in a city all your life. Let's say like Las Vegas, and not even, it may seem big in the midst of it, but driving through it in a truck, I could drive through it maybe, if traffic's good, 30 minutes, if that. If I'm just, like, seriously, family, some of the cities that you think are so big and you look at them on TV, and when you drive through them on a truck, you go through them so quick. And you realize they're really not that big. And then, especially when I'm driving in places where there's like deep forest, and I know what the maps say and I know what GPS says, but when you're in the midst of it and you see how much free land there is, and they talk about global warming and everything, family, when I say some places so beautiful, but they go off as far as the eye can see, and you can sit there and yeah, GPS and map says this, but when's the last time the majority of us really just pulled over our cars and just walked off the beaten path? And just took some bags and really just, and a lot of times when people do that, what happens is you hear stories of people disappearing. But how do we know it's always them dying or getting eaten by something? How do we know these people aren't just finding places that no one else knew? But for the most part, like, think about it like this, family. Remember that movie, M. Night Shyamalan, The Village? Remember, these people lived in this village all this time, and they were taught the world was one thing until the girl walked out, and none of them realized they really just lived on a national park for all those years, and they were thinking just in that small area. So think, it's like the Truman Show, family. Whether this is the map or not, and like I said, personally, I believe it's similar to what I personally think, and then we can get into parallel universes, and this one is actually this one, or who's from. Look, we can go so many different ways with this. But nonetheless, family, like I said, in my opinion, the truth is there's something else out there. And I'm not telling you this is it. Please do your own research. There's other maps out there. This one just popped out to me from my research. And honestly, this fits better with me with biblical history and Egyptology and all these things that come from really a flat earth centered, mythology. Or I don't even want to say mythology, but from a flat earth foundation. Not the earth rotating around the sun and vast endless space, but a flat earth with water above and water below. And this fits with the history I choose to follow, which I feel is the real history, especially once again when I look at life, family. And man, if you just got to really stop and take a chance to look at things, family. Anyway, I'm going on. So let's get into PegASUS. I just wanted to say that, put that out there. So this is chapter 11, PegASUS. Let me see. This is about 5 minutes. So I'll tell people to skip 5 minutes if you don't want to listen to me rant. Okay. The lands of PegASUS, near Jupiter and Hercules, became a great. Hold on. Okay. My bad. Okay. Here we go, family. Here we go. Chapter 11. Chapter 11. PegASUS. Okay. The lands of PegASUS, near Jupiter and Hercules, became a great headache for several races for a long time. The beings that were born there were identified by their wings, which they created basing their technology on exploration, not so much to the weapons they could use for attack and defense, much less to colonize other lands. Let me read that again for my own personal reasons. The beings that were created, okay, hold on. The lands of PegASUS near Jupiter and Hercules became a great headache for several races for a long time. The beings that were born there were identified by their wings, which they created basing their technology on exploration, not so much to weapons they could use for attack and defense, much less to colonize other lands. This played against them when they faced the custodians, when they visited their circular environment. But surely their surprise was greater when they found that these beings moved through the skies without great difficulty because of their great metallic wings that beat back and forth, almost dancing throughout the firmament of this beautiful world. Hold on 1 second, family. Let me read that again for my own personal reasons. This played against them when they faced the custodians, when they visited their circular environment. But surely their surprise was greater when they found that these beings moved through the skies without great difficulty because of their great metallic wings that beat back and forth, almost dancing throughout the firmament of this beautiful world. It required no great effort to take these lands, and the Lanteans, as they were called, because of their great central lands, came to an agreement with the custodians that ended up harming them extensively. They lost much of the mineral wealth of their land, as well as shared their technological advancement, and thus further helped the custodians to advance in their development to penetrate the celestial lands. The Lanteans realized too late the real plans of their colonizer, and several revolts were generated that ended in massacres of the winged ones. Some say that this race ceased to exist, and there are other versions that they have seen them in other lands, but they are confused with the beings called angels of the lands of the same name, since they are also close to the lands of Jupiter, and they also have large white wings. The Lanteans usually wear their long white hair, with great development in alchemy and scientific advancement. They are not usually hostile to other races, but brought their race to the critical point of its disappearance when fighting against their oppressor. I wonder if anybody remembers this game back in the day called I think it's called Legend of Dragon. I remember it was on PS1. It was on PS1 back in the day, Legend of Dragon. This kind of reminds me of Legend of Dragon. There were these they're like elves, but not elves, and they had like pure white hair on this game on PS1. Some of you played it and remember it. It's called Legends of Dragon, and yeah, it's called Legends of Dragon, and they had long white hair, and they were very, for the most part. Well, they used to be warlike people, but now they're peaceful people. But they had the ability to fly, and they had long white hair. Anyway, if anyone's interested, it's an old game from the 90s. PS1 is called Legends of Dragon. But anyway, that's the end of the chapter, family, and that was chapter 11 PegASUS. Next time we will be getting into Aldebaran. Aldebaran? Okay, okay. Well, chapter 12. I'll get it right before then. Alright, family, be blessed. Catch you later, Shalom, and all that good stuff.